Very good morning to everyone. So today we'll be doing the Hindu analysis. Okay. So this week, the first thing that was there in the news that IIT Bombay placement 36% students from the latest batch failed to get placed. This year witnessed a rise in the number of students at IIT Bombay without placements, reaching 35%, an increase of 2.8 percentage points compared to the previous session. Okay, so this becomes very important to cover. Why? Because we have been talking about economic expansion. We have been talking about growth of our country, and then we are witnessing this. So what actually it is? See, now even though we are having this, just a minute. Okay. Even though India is witnessing what economic expansion, but the point is that employment ratio of India has fallen, and this has fallen more than any other South Asian nations. So if you see, what is happening is that we are talking about economic expansion, but at the same time, what is India witnessing is that the employment ratio of India has fallen, and this is with comparison to the other South Asian nations. Now, the point is that why are we even witnessing this, or what is the issue behind it? Because if there's any issue that need to be resolved, just a second. Okay. What is the reason for the jobless growth in India? See, firstly, the reason why we are witnessing this jobless growth is because there is a mismatched skill set. Now, what do you mean by mismatched skill set? That means there is a huge gap. And what is that gap? That gap is with respect to the skills that are demanded, and skills that are demanded by who, or by whom? The workforce. So there is a huge gap between the skill that is being demanded and the skills that the workforce possess. So what does this mean? That means the kind of skill that is required by, or that is required by the job market is not something which is possessed by the students. So first reason for this jobless growth is that the skill set does not match with the requirement. Now, other than that, is this the only reason? Second reason is that the labor laws in India are often criticized. Why? Because of the difficulty with respect to hire and fire. So what is happening is that the formal job creation gets affected. Fine. Okay. Now, if I'm saying that the labor laws in India are too rigid, or they are complex, or they are difficult, so how how am I going to prove this? So what's happening is that the World Bank Ease of Doing Business report (UAB) has constantly ranked India low in terms of what? Hiring and firing. That means when it comes to the ranking which is given by the World Bank with respect to ease of doing business, they have said that India ranks poor with respect to what? Stringent labor laws. Fine. Okay. Now, one thing is the skill demanded and the skill possessed. There is a huge gap. That is, there is a mismatch. Other than that, the report from the World Bank says that India has got very stringent labor laws, and this is precisely the reason why there is high unemployment in India. Now, that's the only reason? No. Why? Because the other factor that affects the employment segment in India is one reason is just a minute. Okay. So the other reason is the dominance of the informal sector. What does that mean? Now see, there is a huge rise in the informal sector. And this informal sector often lacks what? Job security. Now, when there was a report that came from International Labour Organization, that is ILO, so ILO has said what? That in India, particularly in the sectors of agriculture, construction, and small scale industries, a significant portion of the population relies on it. And what is the reason behind this significant population relying on these small sector, or you can say the informal sector industries, that is your agriculture industry, your construction industry, your small scale industries? The reason being, these workers have low productivity. Now, if you see, if the workers are having low productivity, what is going to happen? They will remain trapped into the vicious cycle, and that is what is leading to more of unemployment in India. Now, what is that vicious cycle? Now, see, if you have poor skills and if you have low productivity, what is going to happen is that you will get stuck into this informal sector. Why you will get stuck into this informal sector? Because you want to have that job security. So this informal sector is going to provide you little job security, and this is another way of not having any kind of social protection. Because when you are formally employed, you have a kind of social protection, you have a kind of job security. But when you are there in informal sector, because you possess low productivity, you have low skills, You get trapped into this circle. Fine. Okay. Now we have also talked about in past that robotics will enter, and there will be cut down in jobs. So again, yes, technological advancement can also be the reason for a huge unemployment. So how technological advancement? Good morning, Amulya. You entered late. I'm so sorry I didn't saw you. Okay, so technological advancement has become also one of the reason for what? Huge unemployment. Now see what is going to happen. Um, there has been a topic of discussion with respect to what, for example, when the robots are going to enter, there will be cut down in jobs. And what will be that? For example, if a robot is going to perform three people work, there's no need to hire those three people. So ultimately what is happening is that those three people are getting unemployed. So that's what could be one of the reasons for this huge rise in unemployment. Why? Because robots, technology is going to replace what? Labor intensive jobs. And more so that these technological advancement are going to happen in the regions or in the sectors of manufacturing, agriculture, etc. And this shall lead to what? Cut down in jobs. Why? Because of technological advancement. Now you can have one question that if technology is going to capture the market, so what is going to happen? There should be a creation of new employment. Why creation of new employment? Because again, if you want to, if you are introducing these technologies, then people should actually get used to this technology. They should know how to operate it. So for that, you require a different kind of staff there. So yes, that is also prevalent there and important. But what I am talking is that this technology advancement is going to bring out cut down in jobs with the people who are having low productivity. There will be a section of new job opportunities, more so related to the people who will be in coding, etc. But then this is going to create a demand of other skill set, and probably this skill will not be being these skill sets are going to be deprived in the new section of people. So again, this is going to lead to what? Unemployment. Fine. Okay. Now, what else? If you see, India is growing humongously with respect to population, right? We are a nation of dollar 1.4 billion people, not dollars, 1.4 billion people. So now what is happening is we are having this much of population. Now this puts pressure on the job market, a huge pressure on the job market. And when there is a huge pressure on the job market, what is going to happen? There will be what? A slow pace in job creation. And when there is slow pace in job creation, what is going to happen? The expansion of the labor force is not possible. Fine. So what I have discussed with you with respect to this people getting unplaced, or if IIT Bombay, the most prestigious institute, is having this ratio that 36% from the latest batch fail to get placed, then forget about the people who are coming from tier 2 or tier 3 colleges. And then we have huge chunk of population here also. So what is probably the reason for this? We have just discussed that the reason for this is we have very stringent labor laws, which is according to the World Bank report. Then the skill sets are not as per the demand and the desire of the market, so students are not possessing that kind of skill set. Other than that, we talked about technological advancement. Then we also talked about population growth. One reason could be the unemployment rate is rising, even though education level is high. Now, what do I mean by this? See, what has happened is that as per the reports of IIM Lucknow, what has the report talked about? So, according to IIM Lucknow, the unemployment rate for the illiterate and less educated class was 0.57%, whereas for highly educated class it was 14%. So are you checking out the numbers? So the people who are less educated, the unemployment ratio over there is 0.5%, whereas those people who are highly educated, the unemployment rate is 14%. That means unemployment rate is rising with the education level. That means what? People who are graduate are probably the one who are highly unemployed, whereas the people who are fifth pass or sixth pass, or they are just or the 10th pass, they are more employed as compared to the people who are graduates or postgraduates. And that is one of the reasons why you see many PhD holders are also unemployed at the present time. So this is the report that is coming from IIM Lucknow. Okay, so this was with respect to the rise of unemployment segment in India. Now, let's move on to the next article. The next article says that government working on green steel policy. Now, what does that mean? Now, what has happened is that the Steel Ministry of India, the Steel Ministry has began to work on what? Formulating a comprehensive green steel policy. Comprehensive green steel policy, defining what? The manufacturing process. That means the green steel policy has talked about the manufacturing process, the skill set required, and the availability of funding. Now see what is happening and what does green steel refers to. So green steel is referring to the steel that is produced using what? Environmental friendly and sustainable methods. So probably this is the reason why the name is green steel policy. Why? Because we are going to bring in manufacturing process, we are going to bring in availability of funds, we are going to target on the skill sets with respect to what? Because they should be environmental friendly and sustainable. Now, how are we going to have this green steel policy? Now, see, how is green steel policy development going to happen? See, now we have to target upon how we are going to treat the emissions that are coming from the steel industry. Now, what is happening? See, the domestic steel sector is accounting for 12% of GHG. And now what is GHG? That is greenhouse gas emissions. Now the domestic steel production is contributing towards 12% of greenhouse gas emissions. And this greenhouse gas emission has an intensity of what? Having 2.55 tons of CO2. So you can understand that if we are going for domestic steel production, now this domestic steel production is leading to what? 12% of greenhouse gas emission, and this greenhouse gas emission is leading to what? 2.5 tons of CO2, which is very high as compared to the global average. Why? Because the global average is contributing towards 1.9 tons of CO2. Okay, now the point is that if India is talking about green steel policy, what is so unique about this project? So this is a pilot project for green steel. Now this pilot project of green steel is targeting what? So India is trying to explore the process. And what is that process? A process in which we are going to have own pure hydrogen based DRI. Now, what is DRI? That is your direct reduction of iron. Fine. Now, this is a method. What is this method? This is hydrogen based DRI. That is your direct reduction of iron. And this method is used for what? Production of green steel. Now, what you need to do over here is you need to know about this method. And what is this method? This method of direct reduction of iron. Now, this method is also known as sponge iron or sponge iron. Now, we'll discuss about what is the sponge iron, because this becomes relevant with your science and tech section. Okay. So DRI, what is your direct reduced iron, also called sponge iron? So in this method, what is happening is there is direct reduction of iron ore. And reduction of iron ore into what? Into iron. And this is happening how? By reducing gas which either contains what? Carbon. And this carbon is coming from your natural gas or coal. Now see, the entire process is about having what? Green steel. right? Now, in order to produce the steel, you need to reduce this iron ore into iron, and for that you require a certain gas, and this gas contains what? Carbon that is coming from the natural gas or coal, and this is what they have said it what you need to replace this with respect to hydrogen. So what is happening is that when hydrogen is used for what? For reduction, for reduction of iron ore into iron. That means now you are going to use, instead of carbon, the hydrogen gas to reduce the iron ore into iron. So what is happening is now there will be no production of what? Greenhouse gases. That is the reason why DRI method becomes very important with respect to green steel policy. So see, and with that, many ores are going to be suitable for direct reduction. Fine. Okay. Now, if you do a little bit of research, you'll find what? That hydrogen is not available as easy as we are thinking it to be. Now, the point is that if it is not available as easy as we are thinking it to be, then what is the point using hydrogen? Because ultimately, it is going to burn the pocket, and we will require a high amount of funding. So round and round, what is going to happen is that we are going to have enough of fund. We will require enough of funding. Then what is probably the use of using this method? So how are we going to go about this? Okay, just a minute. Fine. Now see, there are two prominent avenues for hydrogen usage. Now, how are you going to use this hydrogen usage? Now, first involves what? You need to inject or injection of hydrogen in a nozzle, right? That means you are going to do what? You are just going to inject a hydrogen, or you are going to inject small amount of hydrogen through nozzle. Now, what is the second one? The second method involves what? Either you are going to mix or you are going to blend hydrogen with the natural gas. See, I have just told you, either you are going to use carbon, you are going, and this carbon is coming from your natural gas, or is it coming from coal, or it is coming from hydrogen, or you are going to use hydrogen. So what is going to happen now? You are going to replace this carbon with the hydrogen. So when you are replacing the carbon with the hydrogen, so this hydrogen need to be blended with your natural gas in the method of your DRI. Fine. Now I told you that hydrogen is not that easily available, or if you say that even if it is available, it is going to be costly. So why or how are you, going to assure the funding? So now where is this funding coming from? So the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy has allocated close to 455 crores for this project. And this project is going to do what? This is going to use hydrogen in steel making. That means major chunk of the funding is going to come from your Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. Okay, fine. Now, even that's not an issue. We came to resolve this also, that okay, we are going to have this funding. Now the point is that what or how you are going to treat the pollution that is coming from the steel industry. So see, now the steel production is going to impact your environment in a variety of ways. How? Firstly, there will be air pollutants, or the emission of the air pollutants. And what are those? That are your carbon monoxide, sulfur oxide, dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, and then you have particulate matter 2.5. Now, this was with respect to your air emissions. The other one is your water pollutants. Now, what are those? Now, these water pollutants are the hazardous waste that are being transmitted to your river areas. Fine. Okay. So all in all, what is going to happen is that if you need to produce a green steel, that means you have to go for environment friendly methods. Now these environment friendly methods demand what? Use of hydrogen. Now when you are going for use of hydrogen, how ultimately you are going to use this hydrogen? There are two methods. One is either you are going to inject hydrogen, or second one is either you are going to blend it with the natural gas. Now for that you require funding. The funding is going to come from Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, and they have allocated close to 455 crore of rupees. Then the pollutants that are coming during the production of the steel need to be treated, and for that we are going to have these emissions that are coming with respect to your air pollutants, with respect to your water pollutants, and these need to be treated. Fine. Okay, so the next article that we have is agri greenhouse gas emissions must drop 30% to align with Paris Pact. Now, the point is that what is your agri greenhouse gas? Then what is your Paris Pact? Now, when you read the article, you will find that there have been a series of reports that have been coming with respect to your food and land use coalition. Now, food and land use coalition, uh, what or which are the reports that are targeting it? So the report that are targeting it is the World Business Council, and World Business Council with respect to what? Sustainable development. Okay, we have got what? Food and land use coalition. That means the food production and what and how it is linked to land. Why? Because we are talking about agri greenhouse gas emission. So what is the target altogether? So the target is that the greenhouse gas emissions from agriculture production should be decreased by 30%. That means the reports have been talking about what? That all the kind of greenhouse gas emissions that are coming from your agriculture production need to be decreased by 30%, and this should be done by 2030. And when we are talking about the emission to be reduced by 30% by 2030, what or how have we targeted this thing? So this target has been coming with respect to what? Aligning to the Paris Agreement. So that is what the article is talking about, that this need to be dropped to 30% with respect to the Paris Pact, that is your Paris Agreement. So what is the Paris Agreement talking about? The Paris Agreement has a goal. And what is that goal? The goal of the Paris Agreement, you people also must be knowing it, that the global warming should be limited to 1.5 degrees centigrade by 2050. So that's a big target that is going, that is there in the Paris Pact. That means they have said that we are going to limit what? The global warming. That means the temperature rise shouldn't exceed 1.5 degrees centigrade by 2050. And for that, first thing that we need to do is that we need to drop what? 30% of agriculture production which is leading to greenhouse gas emission. That means your greenhouse gas emission should be reduced by 30%, which is coming from your agriculture sector. Now, if we are talking about this, how are we going to achieve this? That means there must be certain things that we have been targeting, which for that we require investment, because that plays a key role. So now the agri-food sector requires what? Investment of close to $205 billion annually. That means between 2025 and 2030. Why? Because this investment is going to help in reducing the emission. To check this number, so financial cost, if you see, of the project is what? That means if you want to reduce this greenhouse gas emission that is coming from your agriculture sector, what you need to do is you need to check on the financial cost, and this financial cost is going to cost you how much? $205 billion. Are you even imagining the number? That means you need to contribute this much to drop down the greenhouse gas emission that is coming from your agriculture sector. So quite a big number. Now let's see how they are going to deal with it. Now there must be one question that need to come in your mind, and what is that one question? That is, the agriculture sector the only sector which is contributing so much towards greenhouse gas emission and the global warming? If not, then what are the other sectors that are contributing towards this global warming, and they are producing greenhouse gases? So what are the other sectors that are producing greenhouse gases? So you can have the note of this, because this becomes important with your prelim section. So first sector which is contributing towards this global warming and having a high percentage of greenhouse gas emission is your industrial sector. That means your industries, they are contributing 24% greenhouse gases. Then you have your electricity and heat production. That means the electricity generating power plants and heat production, etc., are contributing 23% towards greenhouse gas emission. Then the third one is your transportation sector, which is contributing 22% towards greenhouse gas emissions. Then fourth is to your agriculture sector, which is again contributing 22% towards your greenhouse gas emission. Then you have your energy sector. This is contributing 10% towards global warming. And then you have your real estate sector, that are your buildings and all. They are contributing close to 6%. Okay, and this report or this data is coming from your reports of IPCC 2023. Fine. Okay, so this was important with respect to your environment sector and also your agriculture segment. Let's move on to the next article. Okay, the next article says the PMLA, that is your Prevention of Money Laundering Act, a law that has lost its way. Again, big thing coming on this article. Why? Because there was a lot of articles that came on way regarding money laundering, and then we got this Act of Prevention of Money Laundering, and now the author of the article is saying that the PMLA, a law that has lost its way. That means it has been no more effective. So why is the author saying this? So the Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002 was enacted with a very distinct objective: the humongous volume of black money generated through international drug trafficking. Now a lot of black money was generated with respect to what? that was with respect to your drug trafficking. And this posed a huge threat to the economy of many countries. And there was a huge realization that black money generated through flourishing drug trade integrated into legitimate economy was likely to destabilize the world economy and endanger the integrity and sovereignty of nation. So any country where you find that there's a black money, there's a huge chunk of black money, then you can understand what could be the development of that country. Why? Because now what is going to happen is that a lot of money is going to get in the hands of few people. So the point is that why has this article came on to being? So in recent time you must have heard about what's going on in Delhi. So what is happening is that there have been an excise, there's an allegation with respect to what? Allegation with respect to your excise policy scam. And this has happened where? In Delhi. So what are the claims that are coming from ED? That means your enforcement directorate. So enforcement directorate has claimed that the Delhi CM is liable to, or liable for what? Money laundering. That means you must be knowing the name also, but no need to write the name. So it's only about Delhi CM. There are allegations against him with respect to money laundering. And what is the scenario with respect to this? So ED can attach the political party assets for what? For the provisions of PMLA. That means, see, if the Delhi CM is being targeted with respect to what? With respect to money laundering. So this money laundering aspect is coming with respect to what? That means somewhere or other the political party is getting funding from anywhere, and probably this could be the reason why ED is continuously checking it out or framing it out. So what can be done now? When this is happening, ED has got the power with respect to what? Now enforcement directorate can actually attach the political party's assets. That means if they feel that there is a case of money laundering with respect to the funding of the party, so what ED can do is the ED can attach the political party's assets as per the provisions of Prevention of Money Laundering Act. Now, what you need to do over here is that you should know what actually money laundering is. So, what is money laundering? Now, money laundering is referred as a crime. Why money laundering is referred as a crime? Because according to this term money laundering, the term says that it is a process as in what? The process in which the criminal is hiding the illegal source of their income. That means if you are going to hide the illegal source of your income, you are referred as a criminal, and this process is known as what? Money laundering. So now the point is that is the process that easy? And if it is that easy, then every other person could be associated with money laundering. So the point is, how does this entire process of money laundering happens? So let's see how it happens. Now, supposingly there is this huge chunk of money. Just a minute. Okay. Now you have this huge chunk of money. Now, when you place this money, where? in the financial system. That means you are trying to do what? You are trying to, lay down your money. So this huge money getting invested or getting placed or integrated into the financial system. Now what is going to happen? Once it gets integrated into the financial system, now this money gets what? Transferred from one bank account to other, one company to other, then payment of various loans happen, etc. Now what is going to happen? Now once this money goes through this process of layering, now this is integrated into the commercial market. And what are those commercial markets? It could be anything. Your industries, it could be your financial institutions, it could be your luxury assets, etc. That means money, this huge chunk of money, which had no authorization where it came from, it was placed into the financial system. And once it was placed into the financial system, it was used to make various payments. Now, when this money was used to make various payments with respect to what? With respect to loaning, with respect to providing loans to one company, then other than that, you can invest into certain companies through invoice. And what is that invoice? That is false invoice. So now you are having that false invoice through which the investment of this money is happening from the financial institutions to various companies. Now when this money gets integrated into the system, now this money could be used to purchase any of your luxury items. It could be used in your investments, it could be used in your commercial ways, etc. And this entire process is known as what? Laundering. Now you can say that if you have done your economic section, you must have came across various terms. And those terms, for example, your hawala transaction, you must be knowing about round tripping, you must be knowing about shell companies, you must be knowing about gambling. Then I just told you about fake invoices. All these are the methods with respect to what? Money laundering. Fine. Okay. Now the point is that fine. There's a lot of money coming on way. Then they are being dumped into the financial institutions. Then they are again going into the process of layering. Then there's a lot of investment that is going to happen. The point is that what impact it is going to create. What is the impact this money laundering is going to bring into the country? So it is going to affect the country through various ways. And what is that? For example, economically, it is going to be in hands of few people. So again, a lot of income inequality is going to be there. Then, with respect to security purpose, the article has just talking about what? Drug trafficking. So you can understand the youth getting attracted towards drug trafficking. Again, a very severe impact in the security of the country. Okay. Now the point is that okay, we know what is money laundering. We know what impact it is going to create in the country, how it is going to affect the country. The point is that after knowing all this, what have we framed out, or what is being done globally in order to check it, because that's not only related to one nation, it is affecting globally. So what are the scenario with respect to international level? So let's discuss about it. Okay. You must have heard about FATF, that is your Financial Action Task Force. Now, when you talk about Financial Action Task Force, this force or FATF is actually what? Seven major industrial nations which held a summit. And what was that summit? That summit was held in Paris in 1989, and these seven industrial nations led to what? Establishment of FATF, that is your Financial Action Task Force. Now, when these nations led to the establishment of FATF, what is the work of FATF? So FATF works toward examining the problem of money laundering. Fine. So we have Financial Action Task Force. Then we have special sessions of 1998. Now, what is the special session of 1998? See, as drug trafficking was there in, operating in trans-border regions. So what did UN did? So UN held a special session back in 1998, and the theme of this special session was countering world drug problem together. And this countering world drug problem together talked about what? Urgent need. And what was that urgent need? Urgent need to combat money laundering. Fine. Okay. Now, this was with respect to what has been done globally. Since we are talking about money laundering with respect to our country, that means this act is talking about, they are talking about what? So, the PMLA, that is your Prevention of Money Laundering Act, is talking about what? So Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002 actually, gives a lot of power to the government, or you can say the public authority. And what is that power that is provided to the government and the public authority? So under PMLA, they have the power to confiscate the property earned from illegally gained proceeds. That means this act provides power to the government, to the public authority, to confiscate property which have been earned from illegally gained proceeds. Fine. Okay. Now, whenever there is any act that comes, the point is this act have certain objectives. Now, what is that? Firstly, they are going to combat or prevent what? Channelizing of money. That means prevention of channelizing of money into illegal activities. And what kind of illegal activities? Because these might lead to further economic crimes. Fine. Okay. Now, which are the authorities that are dealing with the Prevention of Money Laundering Act? That means which authorities have the power entrusted to them for investigation with respect to money laundering. So first is ED, your Enforcement Directorate. Now this Enforcement Directorate is coming under the Department of Revenue, that is under Ministry of Finance, and they are responsible for investigating offense of money laundering.
Good morning, ma'am. आप क्लास में भी क्या
Next is your FIU, that is your Financial Intelligence Unit. Now this Financial Intelligence Unit, that is your FIU, this is again under Ministry of Finance and is an independent body. And this independent body is directly reporting to EIC. And what is EIC? EIC is your Economic Intelligence Council. So FIU, that is your Financial Independent Body. Financial Intelligence Unit is an independent body which is directly reporting to Economic Intelligence Council. Again, this is headed by your Finance Minister. Fine. Other than that, you have separate agencies who are also assigned with offense of the money laundering. For example, you have your local police, you have your CBI, you have SEBIs, and other investigative agencies. Fine. Okay. Now the point is that all those who people are they what kind of actions can be taken against people who are involved in money laundering. So firstly, what can be done is a freezing of property. That means all those people who are associated with this money laundering act, freezing of property. Then all those who are associated with money laundering, they have to be punished, and when they are punished, there is a rigorous imprisonment, and this imprisonment is for a minimum term of 3 years, which can be extended to 7 years depending upon the level of the offense. And other one is the person can be fined, and there is no limit to it. That means without any limit. So we have done what is money laundering, we have done how money laundering occurs, we have done what are the agencies that are involved in checking money laundering, then we have done the punishment that is going to get associated with a person who is associated with money laundering. Now let's move on to the next article. Okay, so the next article says that the toy sector requires a PLI plus approach. So, what is the toy sector demanding? So, now if you look at the article says that it is heartening to know that performance linked incentive, it is not your production linked incentive, they are talking about performance linked incentive schemes for toys for toys is on the annual as indicated by the recent budget. However, before the approval is made for the PLI, policymakers should know the complex nature of this industry. The toy sector has an extremely segmented market driven by varied nature of toys produced as well as the longevity of the product of the end user. So first we need to know what is the entire article talking about. So the government is looking to bring what performance linked incentive schemes for toys. Now the point is that why do we require this PLI, that is your performance linked incentive for the toy sector? Because there is a huge import on which we are dependent. So if we are going to have this performance linked incentive, what is going to happen is we are going to cut down our import dependency. That means we will ultimately work towards creation of our own toy market instead of getting dependent on imports. So import reduction, if we have performance linked incentives, import reduction. Now if we reduce our import, what is going to happen? Ultimately we are going to work on our own market, so we are going to strengthen our own supply chains. Now, when we are going to work towards our own supply chain, what is going to happen? This is, going to work for our future. Why? Because then we can talk about bigger firms coming onto the market, and again, we can also talk about exports there. So, what is going to happen is now we can talk about bigger firms entering the toy market. Now, what is going to happen? See, if the bigger firms are going to enter the market, one big thing that is going to happen is investments. That means a lot of investment is going to happen. Now, when a lot of investment is going to happen, what is going to happen? This is going to level up the scale of production. Fine. Okay, so if this is that easy, why weren't we able to do it earlier? And if it is not, then what are the challenges we are witnessing? Because if we know about the challenges, then ultimately we can work towards it. So the point is, what are the challenges associated with your toy market? Now, in my very first discussion, I have discussed about the huge gap of the skill set that is possessed and the skill set that is demanded. So again, skilled manpower becomes one of the issue why this toy market is not booming. So skilled manpower becomes an issue. Again, infrastructure becomes an issue. Why? Because we don't have the appropriate system. And when we don't have the appropriate system, that means we couldn't manufacture good quality toy. Then now, there are a lot of startups that came in India because we have worked towards in the startup India. Then we talked about make in India, etc. The point is, when there was so much of effort that was brought into this segment, then why didn't it perform that well as it was expected from them? The point is that our research and design are lagging. That means in the toy segment, somewhere or other, we have inadequate designs and we have inadequate research. That means what? That we require additional inputs, because this additional input is going to bring what, or going to lift the market of toys. Fine. Okay. So this is what government is targeting. That means government is trying to bring in what, performance linked incentive. With that, what is going to happen is there we can think about the bigger firms entering the market. Now, when the bigger firms are entering the market, there's a lot of investment that is going to happen. Once the investment is going to happen, we are going to have a skilled manpower. When we are going to have the skilled manpower, we have good infrastructure, so we can also talk about good research, we can also talk about good design. And when we have all this on place, then ultimately we can think about what the toy market to get or to explore the toy market with respect to your export segment. Now let's move on to the next article. Okay, so the next article talks about the Delhi CM sent to judicial custody for 2 weeks in Delhi excise policy case. I have just talked about Prevention of Money Laundering Act, and again we have witnessed this article. Now, this article talks about what the Delhi CM has been sent to judicial custody. Now, I have taken this article. Why? Because you need to know what is the difference between a police custody. That means when you are in police custody, what is the difference between a police custody and what is the difference between a judicial custody? You should also know what is the term custody means. That means, so what do you understand by custody? So custody is what? Now, the word custody means apprehending someone for protective care. So, what is the principle behind arresting a person? So, the principle behind arresting the suspect of a crime is to save other people from the accused in the society. So, here, apprehending someone for protective care. Fine. Police custody, judicial custody. Now, what is police custody? Now, here the police is going to have the physical custody of the accused. So the article is talking about judicial custody and not police custody. That means when the person is sent to police custody, the person is under the police. That means the police have the physical custody of the accused. और जुडिशियल कस्टडी में क्या है? जुडिशियल कस्टडी मीन्स द पर्सन इज इन द custody of the concerned magistrate. Now, when the person is in the custody of the police, the person or the accused is in the lockup. Whereas when the person is in the judicial custody, the person is in jail. Again, a person in police custody has to appear before the concerned magistrate within 24 hours. That means if a person is in police custody, the person, or sorry, the accused has to be brought up in front of the concerned magistrate within 24 hours. Whereas when the person is in judicial custody, the person has to be kept in jail until court gives the bail. That means the Delhi CM is under judicial custody. He is not under the police custody. So the Delhi CM has been kept in jail, and he will be in jail until the court gives him the bail. So you understand the difference between a police custody and the judicial custody. Now the point is that if a person is in police custody, that means the police officer has arrested that suspect. Now when the police officer has arrested that suspect, that means he has received the complaint or he has received an FIR. So a person or a suspect who is kept under police custody has been kept or done this under an FIR or a complaint that has been filed against him, because of which the police officer has taken this action. Now when the person has been brought in judicial custody, what is happening is that the judicial custody begins with what? Or begins with public prosecutor. How? Because the public prosecutor satisfies the court. Satisfies the court that for the purpose of investigation, the custody of such accused is necessary. That means here the role of the police officer is prime. Here the role of the public prosecutor is prime, because the public prosecutor is going to convince or is going to satisfy the court that the accused need to be kept in the custody for the purpose of investigation. Now I have just told you that the suspect has to be brought in front of the magistrate within 24 hours. So the maximum period of police custody, that means a person can be most of the time the maximum police custody is 24 hours, and which may be extended to 15 days as appropriated by magistrate. Fine. Now, what about judicial custody? So, in judicial custody, the maximum period of detention is 90 days. Maximum period of detention is 90 days, where the investigation is related with respect to, is related to the offense punishable with death, imprisonment for life. That means the maximum period of detention is 90 days, and where the investigation is going to happen, and this investigation is going to happen with respect to what kind of offense? With respect to the offense that are punishable with death, imprisonment for life, or imprisonment for a term not less than 10 years. So with death, life imprisonment, and for a term of not less than 10 years, and 60 days where investigation is related to the offense punishable with a imprisonment for a term not less than 10 years. Okay, So basically, I covered this article so that I could tell you the difference between police custody and judicial custody. Again, in police custody, the physical custody of the suspect or of the accused is with the police, whereas in judicial custody, it is with the respect to the concerned magistrate. In police custody, the suspect is kept in the lockup, whereas in judicial custody, the suspect is kept in the jail. Now, he is there in jail until the court gives him the bail in judicial custody, whereas in police custody, the person or the suspect is there in the police custody and has to be brought in front of the magistrate, in 24 hours. Now, this could be extended till 15 days as appropriated by the magistrate. Okay, so this you should know. Why? Because this is a very hot topic with respect to the Delhi CM, and that is a big thing. It's not something which is that easy. So you need to know about police custody and judicial custody, since the news is talking about that the Delhi CM has been sent to judicial custody. So it is something right there in the news for 2 weeks. The judicial custody for 2 weeks. Okay, the next article, fine elections are on the way. So again, this becomes important. Supreme Court notice to EC, Election Commission on plea to check EVM, that is your electronic voting machine, and VVPAT counts. So what is your VVPAT? That is your voter verifiable paper audit trail slips. This is your VVPAT. So what is happening is that the Supreme Court notice to EC on plea to check EVM VVPAT counts. Now, what you need to know is what is VVPAT. So VVPAT is an independent system. I have covered this in my previous articles also. For example, this is your EVM. So there is this independent system which is attached to your EVM. So if this is your EVM, there is this independent system which is attached to your EVM, and this is VVPAT. Now, this allows what? Now, for example, the voter has pressed the button with the respective, party symbol. So, what is going to happen is there will be a slip will be generated in this VPAT system. So, what is going to happen is that the voter can actually verify that if he has or if he or she has casted his or her vote to a particular party. So here the slip will tell you whether the vote has been transferred to that respective party or someone else. So what is going to happen when a vote is casted over here? A slip is printed which contains what? Firstly, a serial number. So basically, the slip contains a serial number. The slip contains the name and the symbol of the candidate, and this remains exposed in this transparent window for 7 seconds. Now what is going to happen? Thereafter, this printed slip automatically gets cut and falls into the sealed drop box of the VP file. That means the slip remains visible in the transparent window for how much time? For 7 seconds, where you can see that the slip contains the serial number, the name, and the symbol of the candidate. Fine. Now, ultimately, what is going to happen is the slip gets cut and gets dropped into the sealed drop box of VVPAT. Now, why is this system efficient, and why what good is the system going to bring? So this allows what? The voter to verify and confirm. This is what I told you, that the voter to verify and confirm that the vote has gone to the candidate of his or her choice. Fine. Okay. Now, why is it why Supreme Court is the apex body over here. So Supreme Court has talked about it. So there was this one judgment which was there. So Supreme Court in Subramaniam Swamy versus Election Commission of India. Just a minute. Okay. So Subramaniam Swamy versus Election Commission of India has given a judgment. And what is that judgment? That judgment that paper trail is an indispensable requirement for free and fair election. That means if you want a free and fair election, you need to have a paper trail. That means this shall ensure what? The confidence of the voter. Because there has been a lot of conspiracy that has been going on, whether the EVM system has been working efficiently or not. So for that, if you are having this VVPAT system, at least you will know that the vote to whichever candidate you are casting, whether it is actually assigned to that candidate or not. So Supreme Court in the judgment of Subramaniam Swamy versus Election of Commission of India has actually talked about what? That the paper trail, that means your VVPAT system, is actually going to ensure free and fair election, and that is going to increase the confidence of the people. So with respect to this, VVPAT system becomes important. Now, the point is that what is the Election Commission of India talking about VVPAT system? So, what is the opinion of Election Commission of India? So, Election Commission of India says that EVMs are non-tamperable. So, this is what your Election Commission of India is saying. So, ECI is of the take that EVMs are non-tamperable. That means they cannot be tampered or they cannot be manipulated. Then ECI has also said what? That the ballot slip of 38,156 randomly selected VVPATs have been tallied till date, and there was not a single case transfer of single case of transfer of vote meant for one candidate to another has been detected. That means whenever they have checked it, so they checked close to 38,000 people, and there was not even a single case of transfer of vote with respect to one candidate and was detected with respect to the another one. Fine. Okay, now let's move on to the next article. So, what is the next article talking about? So, the next article says that the center selects Jharkhand to scale up mustard output. Now, what is all about? Now, see, the central government has actually planned to raise the area under mustard cultivation from the current 4 lakh hectares and to yield how much? That means from 8 quintals. That means the central government plans to raise the area under mustard cultivation from current 4 lakh hectares and yield from 8 quintals per hectare. Now, see, first of all, they are talking about mustard. Why mustard? Right? So, you see, mustard and rapeseed comprises of several oil seeds. And what are those oil seeds? They are rye, they are sarso, there are toria, then there are toria, etc. Yeah. So these crops are cultivated during Rabi season. In the northwestern and central parts of India. Now these oil seeds together occupy about 2.5% of total crop area in the country. So you should know this thing about mustard. Now, what is the news all about? So after piloting a mustard project in 7 districts over the past 7 years in Jharkhand, the center will scale it to cover the entire state with target-oriented delivery. It plans to raise the area from 4 lakh hectares and yield from 8 quintals per hectare to achieve the larger objective of self-sufficiency in edible oil. Now, the Union Agriculture Ministry has approved the scaling up plan for Jharkhand while working on the similar projects for other states after the finance minister announced in the interim budget of 24 to 25 a new scheme to be unveiled for the edible oil sector, particularly the focus on the raising production of the mustard, groundnuts, soybeans as the sources have said. So what you need to do over here is that you need to know about mustard, you need to know about the cropping seasons of the mustard, etc. Now, mustard productivity in Jharkhand can be improved by 36% by bridging the yield gap and asserted that the pilot studies shows that this is achievable. So, what is going to happen? Now, there are two key components which are required to achieve this, and what is that? You need to have an improved new variety of the seed, you have a good production technology. So, this was with respect to mustard. Now let's move on to the next article because we have less of time, so I need to cover all of them. Okay. The next article says that the defense exports rocket to rupees 21,000 crores in the fiscal year of 24. Now, what is the news all about? See, India's defense export has reached to an all-time high level. That means 21,000 crores in the financial year that was there in 23 to 24, with a 32% growth in the fiscal year of 24 as compared to the previous financial year. Now, for that, you need to know a little bit about what is the defense export scenario of India. So, the largest single recipient of French arm export was India. That means largest French arm export was India, and how much? 30%. Fine. Now the major export destination of India are your Italy, you have Maldives, you have Sri Lanka, you have France, etc. There are many more. Now, India's main exports, that means if India is exporting in the defense sector, so this major export is happening with respect to the which system. So one is your Akash missile system, then you have BrahMos super missile, supersonic missiles, then you have unmanned radars, then you have surveillance system, you have bulletproof jackets, You have body spare parts for your aircraft and copters. So what is being seen. So with respect to the defense import scenario, we have founded that India was the world's top arm importer. So India is the world's top arm importer for the period from 2019 to 2023, and this import has gone up by 4.7% as compared to the period of 2014 to 18. And this report has been coming from your Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, that India is the world's top arm importers from the time period of 2019 2023, and we have gone importing, or we have increased our import by 4.7% from the period compared to 2014 to 18. Okay, so this much for today. Thank you so much. Thank you, Amulya. Any doubt? Okay, thank you so much.